video with a bit of a difference today. This is a Montmart canvas panel that you can pick up at a lot of dollar stores in Australia. I'm sure you would have something similar pretty much everywhere else in the world, but I don't know what brands or what they call them. But it's literally just like a piece of card covered in canvas so that you can paint it and decorate it and hang it on your wall. Now, I decorated this when I was living in Northern in Western Australia, and so it's got the country rustic kind of colours. But my house at the moment now is mostly got a lot of blue in it, so I wanted to change it. And I don't really want the name here because I want to be able to change the photo on it, so I can put it on the wall where I can see it, and it has these little pegs here so you can attach a photo and then you can just change it out whenever you want, or you can put up a piece of artwork or a piece of your kids' artwork. You can put whatever you want on it. This is not a very big one. It's only 8 inches by 8 inches, which is roughly 20 centimetres by 20 centimetres. And I'm going to try and paint it without making too much of a mess of the pegs, which I could probably tape off, but I won't because that's not me. They are a light grey colour, so they'll go with the blues I'm going to use. So I have this blue, which is a Creative Craft, I think. Crafters acrylic paint in a cold blue. Pick that up at the Reject Shop, actually makes that. So that's a cheap shop here in Australia, dollar store. It's made in China, but the Reject Shop is one of our shops, so that must be where I got that from. And I love this sort of, it's a pale, dirty sort of, I call it dirty sort of blue, a greyish blue, I guess you call it. And then I've also got this one, which is Jo Sonja's Artist Colours. These are expensive, so I don't buy them very often, but if they're on sale and they've got a really nice colour, I'll grab a couple every now and then. I think I've only got 2 or 3 tubes. So this is colour number 0646, which is Series 1 Sapphire. So that's just going to be used for a little bit of highlights. I'm not too stressed about the background because it'll be covered by photo most of the time, so the edges is what's most important. On here, I don't know if you can see, let me have a look. There you go. I've texture pasted some stencils on here. So this is a barbed wire stencil and this is a wheat stencil, because in the country in WA, that's what they grew mostly on the farms around where we were, wheat and sheep. So I'm just going to show you how I paint. I'm just going to use a daggy old paintbrush. I'm not using anything special because I actually want it to be quite rough. I don't really want it to be perfect. Whoa! That was a lot of paint. Spewed out everywhere. Oops. Oops. I think that's going to be too much paint, so I'm going to have to find something else to paint. Or let's see if we can get some back in here. Probably can, without making too much mess. See, this is what you do when you're arty-farty and you just decide you want to do something. You make a big mess. That's right. I can get plenty of this back in here. Luckily, it's got a nice big open tube. Now that would have happened because I had dried paint on the top of it, because I haven't used this paint for a long time. And it just spewed out on either side of the dried paint. So I'm just going to clean the neck here before I put the lid on. Now under me I have one of those, that's a silicone mat. That's to protect my workspace for this actual reason. I'm good at being messy. Now this is actually a really fine paint, so it's going to need a few coats. So I'm just literally going to spread this everywhere today. And then I'm going to mix in a bit of the darker blue to add a bit of interest and contrast to the canvas, so it's not just a straight blue. It has a bit of texture, a bit of colour, bit of, I'm going to make a mess and have paint everywhere. I can see it. That's okay. We're going to need a few coats because this is a fairly, that's what you'll find with your cheaper paints as well. Your cheaper paints won't be as thick and have as much pigment in it, so you usually end up doing more coats. I'm going to try and go reasonably careful around these pegs up to the edge. Doesn't matter if I get some on the pegs because the bottom piece of the peg doesn't need to operate or anything. It just is glued on to the canvas. So this is a really simple project to do if you want to hang your kids' artworks, and as they change, you just change it. Literally, just unpeg one and peg the other one on. You could probably peg a couple on here as well. This is like I said, this is only 8 by 8, so it's only small. So it'd only be small pieces of artwork, but also photos. You can have the most regular photo on here, and you can take them out and change them out as the kids grow, as the family grows, as you do something, go on a special holiday and you want to see one of the photos, get it printed out and peg it on. Now this is going to be hard to open because again this one hasn't been used in ages. There we go, got it. Same deal, be a bit more careful how I put it on there. Whoops. What's going on in your world today? It's actually quite a nice day today. We had a lot of rain yesterday. I think about 2 inches or so. My husband always keeps a good look on the eye on the weather because he looks after the local racetrack. So he's got to grow his grass. That's important to him. Gee, that was a lot of blue, wasn't it? You can see, or you can already see, this Jo Sonja's paint covers a lot better than the cheaper project paint. So I'm going to get this on the edges. Try and get the edges covered because I've got that Velcro stuff the stickers that you put on the back of pictures to put on the walls, so you can pull them off without damaging the walls. And they are actually they're quite good, but here when you have hot, humid weather, things like to fall off the walls if they're just sticky tape. So I don't like using them much anymore. I actually take them off and put a proper hanging thing on it, because now this house we're in now hopefully is going to be our forever house, so I'm happy to put pictures wherever I want. So I'm just going around the pegs and I'm doing just really light vertical strokes to get coverage, and when I do a second layer we'll get a better coverage. And then I'm going to put some more of the light blue on because I actually don't want a lot of the darker blue. I want mostly the lighter blue, so I don't want it dark. So that's very light, and I'm not worried about being too perfect because when we do the second coat we'll add a bit more to it. Put that straight into water so it cleans off well, and that'll do for that coat, and I will dry it and come back later and do the second coat.